Oh my God, welcome to Missing the Point. We're starting the show right as the clock starts between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So we are timed up perfectly with the Western Conference Finals Game 2. I figure we start talking about that, fellas. What do you say? I've got the full rotation here today, a fully healthy and fit squad for the first time in a little while. I think since we previewed the playoffs, which was fun. I've got Marcangelo, I've got Bob Kelly, and I've got Ray Buchanan. I think we're gonna do a four-man, the likes of which you've never seen, because essentially we have to do an autopsy on the Boston Celtics. We're ludicrously angry about them, and we're gonna save that to the end of the show. Usually, that kind of podcast breaks out on its own when we're all here. But since we started with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves, let's start talking about that. I'm a little surprised that this is the matchup, to be totally honest with you, in the Western Conference. I sort of saw holistically, the Clippers in lights as that conference, I wasn't even a conference final, as that round was progressing. And then I sort of said to myself, you know what, best player in the series, it's got to be Jokic. We're going to see him progress. We're going to see him move on. And then that didn't turn out to be true. And I'm starting to think, and I sort of have asked this question of everybody since we've been following the Western Conference along, depending on what combination. But since I have everyone here, Mike, I'll start with you. Why did I criminally overrate this 68-win Oklahoma City Thunder? Why was it underrated? I should say the apparently underrated Oklahoma City Thunder. They won 68 fucking games. Why didn't I believe that they could get here? They blew out my Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 1.
Probably because this is the second year of them winning 60 or more games, and we all saw what happened to them last year. We thought that the lights got a little bit too bright for them, and I mean they're a young team, but also like the West just has so much stars, and a couple of what ifs happened. Like, what if Steph Curry did not go down in that series? Like, I don't know if it would have.
There's no one would have
won.
They were getting work.
It probably would have won 7. Right? I mean, what if Denver didn't fire their coach 5 days before the postseason?
Went 7. You said you were the one who famously viral clipped Wolves in 5
against the Lakers.
Was that against the Lakers?
Yeah. No, I don't think I did. You pull the tape, but I think
referee injury. Referee's bleeding on the court right now. There's a referee bleeding on the court because of the jump ball. He got fully punched in the face. It's fun to watch. Sorry, continue.
I think OKC just gets overlooked because of the market where they are, how everyone always goes towards Boston, New York, LA. But it's going to be really hard to fucking overlook them for moving forward because SGA, I mean, obviously you just won MVP. He is fucking legit. And that team, they play such great defense. They should be, if they're not already, the favorite to win the whole thing.
I mean, they probably are at this point. I would say, especially after that Game 1. Ray, Mike thinks it's a market issue. Do you think it's a market issue? I think you've been on that train before.
Yeah, I mean, outside of Lake Minnetonka and Oklahoma.
Why don't you purify yourselves in the water of Lake Minnetonka?
It was like where I mean, once again, is Prince unfortunately can't be there to perform. OKC, once again, although they have a rabid fan base down there, there's not much really tuning in. A friend of the show, Jose Pavone is now down there covering them, so I know he's probably having a really good time down there covering that team. But they're not really someone that you're watching on a regular basis, and they're probably the most quiet kept secret. Was winning 68 games, right? Like they're a really good team, obviously. Like clearly,
that's a lot of games, guys.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's awesome. But like Mike said, like I think that. Seeing what they did last year when Dallas just came in there and said, hey, like you guys may be up and coming, but we got right now. So they thought, and then obviously, things kind of dismantled in Dallas. But yeah, I mean, they look like they've learned from, what they went through last year, and they're playing really at a high level. And your boy Ant, once again, Randall showed up this playoffs. So we can't. It can't be said. No,
we're gonna get to that. I think there needs to be a conversation about Anthony Edwards' level in the playoffs so far.
I didn't mean to jump the gun, but yeah. So I think that.
You're right.
I just think that it's definitely a market thing. But yeah, the West was brutal, and like I said, there's what ifs every year, and unfortunately, injuries are not turned off like they can be in 2K as real life. So yeah, and once again, health is always going to be the biggest part of.
They are fully fucking healthy. It's a good point.
Last
Honestly, it is a good point because like it's not something I'd really thought about overall. Like they really are just doing what the Celtics did last year, just winning the availability Olympics.
I feel like one of the biggest things is that they're still on their way up, and we don't see.
But
that
they still have a
much
fucking
with
big
teams.
bag of picks. It's not as if like they're ahead of schedule.
They're completely ahead of schedule, and the fact that they've done this 2 years in a row, I think, just shows how good this team really is. I think the biggest key to them moving forward too. I know SGA is amazing. Jalen Williams has been playing awesome. Chet Holmgren is awesome. Alex Caruso, what he brings on the defensive side of the ball has been unbelievable. That trade
the fact that he guarded Jokic is like pretty legendary.
It's unreal. Yeah. And he did it well too. He denied Jokic the ball for minutes at a time during.
Okay, I'm going to push back a little slightly on that one, just because I watched that game and I saw like a lot of internet discourse. If we're going to do a little bit of a postmortem on the Nuggets for a second, I'm willing to do that. But nobody else on the Nuggets arrived to that game 7. Absolutely nobody. And like when you don't have any supporting cast, it's hard for me to not put, and I know I'm a Jokic fan and I know that I'm like on record with him because like how long when we were building the Celtics like team was I just like, please just get somebody giant. Can we just get some giants? Like, I just love a giant in basketball. It's just one of my favorite things to watch. And a guy his size that skilled, like, I just love watching him. But in context, they fired his coach a couple of weeks before the playoffs began. And he took a 68-win team to a 7-game series basically by himself with no one else around him doing anything. And yeah, I mean, he crapped out in the game 7, but he was the only guy. All they had to do was guard him. No one else did shit. So yeah, I get it. Alex Caruso was on Jokic, and it was a fun like circus act. But I'm not taking anything away from Caruso. It's a tough job, and he did a really good job of it. But Jesus Christ, like if there had been anybody else helping out Jokic at all,
to add to that, right? And see if y'all agree or not. But I do think Aaron Gordon being hampered in that final game.
Clearly. I mean, he was like, his third option was on one leg. He had a busted hammy. That's a big part of it.
But you can argue he had been the best player in the playoffs.
He'd been unbelievable.
He was awesome. Right?
After Jokic, yes.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but at certain spots, sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
But
he was their most clutch player.
Yeah, no, for sure. And he had a couple of game winners, and so he was really, really playing at a high level and kind of becoming what people thought he would be coming out of Arizona, 10 years ago. So, he was on a great run, for this postseason. But he's been really good since he got to Denver, anyways. Which it just shows that once you're around,
he fits there for sure.
Yeah, once you're around winning basketball, like generally you can raise your level of play, and he's a perfect example of that. But it's really about his real number 2, which is Jamal Murray.
I mean, he had one?
He had
one little flash in that series.
Yeah, no, me and Mike talked about him before because I'm like, he's dude's a killer. Like dude is he can get busy with anybody. But the problem is Murray can drop 41 in a game and make you look stupid, and then the next game be like
he's the definition of street.
10 points, 5 of 17. You're just like, how? Like you just gave the same team the business the night before, and now you can't replicate that. So like the reason why they won is because in 2023 he did that consistently. Where he doesn't do it consistently, they're not the same. And it's really I don't want to oversimplify it, but that's
the whole offense is built around their 2-man game.
Yes,
so
exactly.
If there's only one man in the 2-man game, then it's not going to work out so well.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, just to your point, like I do think Caruso, like coming up big, your role players are going to do that in game 7s at home, though, right? Like you're going to see that. I guess I wonder how you feel about my overall pushback of like it was more that the Nuggets. I still am underrating the Thunder. I'm still doing it. Like to me, it was still that the Nuggets didn't quite nugget enough. Like if they were full nuggeting, then I feel like they would have won that series. Like there was games in that series where you're like, damn, like they just have more. They just have too much. Like they just have that. They just have this. Like Jamal Murray had a big game. Like or Jokic is just like running the floor. Like he's putting up crazy rebound numbers. He wasn't really like going for boards. I think he was like beat up by the end of that game 7. And I just feel like. I mean, I guess it's tough for me to do this without really just saying how I really feel, which is like I might get killed for, but I don't really like SGA's brand of basketball. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I think he hunts whistles. I think he gets them, which is the worst part. I'm not blaming him for that, because if he's getting them, like, more power to you. But the way that they whistle him, I don't think is comparable to how Jokic gets refereed. Was that right?
Let me ask this then. So because I knew this would be.
I really didn't want to bring this up, to be honest.
No. I mean, we talked about it before. No, it's fine. So, was there an issue with 2018 James Harden?
Yes.
He was getting 37 a night, and
he was fucking traveling half the fucking night, and he was like getting fucking
right. No,
like a lot of whistle.
People was like, man, like this dude was giving you buckets, but it's just like, and he got every advantage possible at times.
Yes.
And unfortunately, still didn't, obviously didn't get over the hump. But to me, I think that's the biggest comparison. Once again, obviously, we're gonna get to the East later on, but it's. If they get an advantage, hey, it is what it is.
Not to go off on a tangent though, but didn't the NBA literally change the rule because of how foul hunting James Harden was?
Yeah, but now they're just
but
calling it in a different way.
The same way. That little stop when he on the pick and roll, and he would lean back into like he was Fat Joe. It's a problem. It was a joke. It was a joke.
I mean, I think what
SGA
does, I think what's a little different with what SGA does. I think it's what annoys me though is I would love to see like a guy that can slash and shoot from mid range as effectively as him, like take over games. It's just that like he gets in there and he's just like looking to get a touch, and he's like it's all very theatrical and it's just like, come on, man, like just don't whistle the game like that. It's playoff basketball. Like he needs like.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I just know that it's just like they once again if you're gonna get rewarded for it, like
but
we don't get that whistle up here,
But the thing is, I'd be fine if everybody was getting a superstar whistle to like some degree. If we were looking at teams, if we were looking at Nikola Jokic, an SGA, a Jason Tatum, an Anthony Edwards, and all four of those guys were all getting the same whistle, I'd be good with it. But I sure as fuck don't see Jason Tatum getting whistled like that for all of our issues with him. I sure as fuck don't see it. Because, like, quite frankly, if he did, he'd be at the line every single possession because he can get in the lane. And he's like, I think he can, this is obviously pre-depressing ankle injury, but I think he can get in the lane quicker and longer than SGA. And I think he can go up faster still somehow. And I think that's what gets you fouls. So if Jason Tatum wanted to play like that, if he actually got that whistle, that would be the fucking craziest thing ever. I would love that. Like he would shoot fucking 30 free throws a game. But
yeah,
I think because he's a point guard, I think because of the kind of style of play that he has, I think the kind of personality that he has, I think that's why he gets that whistle. But I think a lot of it's because he's a point guard, because I think referees are like you, Bob. I think they just love a slashy point guard. I think it's just like something inside him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, let's say he once again he uses it to his advantage. I mean, once again, I don't love it either, but I mean, hey, until they stop it, keep using it, I guess.
So is the problem that you don't love it because he gets it and Tatum doesn't, or because he gets it in the first place?
Yeah, he gets
the latter.
Because to me, like Dave said, like it's one thing. The regular season whistle is always going to be different in the playoffs. Like that's just.
Yeah, but I want that. That I'm fine.
No, that's fine. But it's just like you shouldn't still get the regular season whistle in the playoffs. So if someone's giving you a little more of a bump, or a little more of a hold, or just whatever it may be, it's just like, or they're boxing out. Like I get it. They're gonna call the face guarding thing, and that's just a new thing that you can't face guard anymore, because we would have gotten at least 5 to 10 more rebounds against the Knicks in that series. But so we'll get into that if we were able to face guard still. But that's automatic foul now, which is crazy to me. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I just want I want the whistle to be consistent, and it's not. And I get wanting to have new blood. I get wanting to have parity. I get it. And I say this all the time. This is one thing I'm a stickler for. There hasn't been parity in the NBA since the 70s. That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
What about the 90s with the 2 years that Jordan was retired?
Right. And who went back to back?
Yeah, the Rockets went back to back, but there was
right.
But it
wasn't like.
But it was a lot closer. It was a lot closer once Jordan left in the middle of the 90s. Don't you think? Nobody knew that was what was going to happen. Everybody sort of reverted to the mean, and then and then Olajuwon just emerged as the best guy.
Yeah, I mean, for Olajuwon, the Barkleys, Pat Ewing. I mean, obviously now New York ended up making the finals. Like, because you knew who was right behind him in that regard. Like that's what I think they were showing in that moment. But there was no repeat champion in the 70s. But that's why I brought up that era. So
so now, does that mean that this era is also extremely parody?
Yeah, I mean, I just
that's the rule because we have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's this era is reminding me of that. But I'm like like in sports, like so whether it was the Patriots, whether it was the Montreal Canadiens, the hockey back in the day, the Yankees, obviously, you watch sports to see dynasties fall. Period. You watch to see it rise, and you watch to see it fall. So to have this kumbaya moment, that have other different champions every other year, I don't know. I mean, once again, do you get the casual viewer? Hey, great job, Adam Silver, great job. It's about dominance, and once again, I don't care who the team is. But it's about dominance. Once again, we loved watching. We seen Golden State on the rise, and then watching them crash and burn was beautiful.
Yeah, but I don't like the rise part. I think you have a real New England centric. I mean, you have a real New England centric view of like what people think of dynasties when they've never experienced one on the positive side.
It's okay.
I have to become like a certified hater. Like it's like, oh, here's Golden State. Here's the Golden State era, Dave. Like we're gonna watch Steph Curry and Klay Thompson emerge as like, a shooting backcourt, a thing that you said would never really bring dominance in the NBA. They're going to be a shooting backcourt of guys under 6'8", and they're going to be the best thing since sliced bread. I have to be a certified hater for that entire era. I hate it. I fucking hated it. I hated every second of it because they weren't my team. So yeah, when watching them fall, I don't know. Have we? Like, I thought we were done with them when we saw them in the finals, and they still fucking beat us. And like Mike saying,
no, that's what I said. No, we became a casualty. No, we became a casualty for sure of that last run. But I'm just saying, like I'm talking about the height of their power. It's like,
yeah, they're annoying as fuck. Draymond Green is incredibly toxic. He's the worst heel in the whole NBA.
No facts, but KD, Curry, and Klay,
or best, however you look at it.
It was unreal. Like that's the only year.
That year, I'll give you. I'll give you that year. I'll give you the year. KD
that year, it was just like
so good. Like it was like you had to watch it.
Right.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no way.
Remember when we actually beat them though? The Celtics beat them.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had their number.
What I remember even more was when they started out on that hot streak in that regular season, and we gave them the best game. We took them to OT, and then they lost the next game. Like they beat us, but they lost the next game just because we ran them real hard. And that was when I really.
Against Milwaukee. Yeah.
That was when I really liked the Celtics. Like we were really scrappy back then. That was like the Isaiah Thomas Celtics, right?
That was the IT team. Yeah.
Oh, that was such a likable team compared to honestly the most unlikable version of the Celtics maybe since 1998. We'll get there. Oh, I have a lot to say about this fucking team and like where we go from there. But before we do that, I want to ask some opinions about this Minnesota Timberwolves team, who I'm really actively cheering for now. The Celtics have been booted out. Bob, Julius Randle. I mean, I feel like we had a conversation in the playoff preview where I was like, maybe Julius Randle will be better. I just have to like pat myself on the back for this. I was like, maybe Julius Randle will be better with Tom Thibodeau not running him into the fucking ground all season. Maybe if he just has like a few minutes left in his legs by the time we get to the playoffs, there's no playoffs Julius Randle, which was obviously a pejorative term, like sent in his direction because he would never show up for New York, right? So how much have you been enjoying watching Julius Randle? And are you worried now that since we just got done talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, that they just kind of have too much for this Timberwolves team? Because I imagine we're all still sort of cheering for him, right? Just because Ant's so likable.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like Julius Randle a lot. I think the fact that he showed up for game one and he was the only one that did shows how much he still has left in the tank, exactly like you said. If Anthony Edwards can actually show up alongside him, I really think that they have a chance against Oklahoma City. They can really put it together.
Do you think Anthony Edwards has been putting in a bad playoff performance, or do you think that the box score is not accurately representing like some of the things he's doing on the floor? Because I feel like he's shooting when he should be shooting, he's passing when he should be passing, he's playing good defense, and I think the Timberwolves are playing overall very good defense. I think it's what's gotten them here. I think the last series really came down to how much effort they still can continually put on the defensive side of the ball on every single possession, and I think that that's what we saw. Like across, like getting them to this point. The problem is when we saw this with Celtics teams in the past, Bob, they run so fucking hard, and when they have to chase all five guys on a team, you're like, ah, shit. like they can with the way that OKC passed the ball, and I think they might even have this similar problem that the Pacers say if that situation like emerges. You're like, the way they play defense, the fifth guy is gonna get the ball, but the fifth guy in OKC can shoot in the position he ends up with in the ball, right? They're like similar to how we saw Celtics teams set up. So are you worried about these matchups at this point? Like now that we've kind of had the overall come to Jesus about this Oklahoma City team, or do you think that that they'll do that war of attrition thing they always do, the T-Wolves, and by game 3, game 4, game 5, we'll see the other team getting really, really tired because they've just been D'd up for the whole series?
Well, I don't know if OKC is really the type of team to get worn down because of how young and how much youth they
That's a
have.
good point. Good point. It's a bad matchup.
It is a bad matchup for the T-Wolves, which is why I do have OKC in 6, I think.
Oh, that hurt.
I just think when you look at what Minnesota has, it's Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, and then you have an old Mike Conley. And then you do have DiVincenzo and Reed coming off the bench, but I just think the OKC defense is just too much for them. I really do. And I don't think running up and down is going to get it done against OKC. It's just not. You know what I mean? And
it's going to require, I'll give you this, it's going to require an Anthony Edwards like level up.
Right.
Right?
That he's going to have to play. Yeah, he's going to have to play the way that you in particular, because I
not
think he's
the
your
royal
favorite NBA player.
He won't shut
yeah.
up, and he's not having a great playoffs. Yeah, I get it.
But he has to play.
Mike finding enjoyment in this so unsurprising. The least fucking surprising thing of all.
I mean, he's my favorite player left in the playoffs.
I know, but nothing trumps like seeing other people suffer for you. Like the number one thing for you is like, you get enjoyment out of like me saying something and then the opposite becoming true. Like that's one of your favorite things that can happen in your life. So I appreciate this. You're staying consistent despite how much you like Anthony Edwards.
That's just how highly I think of you. You know,
I appreciate that. You know what? I think that's true.
It is true.
I think you're just that kind of guy.
It is true. But he does. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he can't be the second best player on the floor via the box score.
I agree.
I know that like we don't just look at the box score, but in a series like this where OKC will not get worn down by the type of play that Minnesota does, he has to be the best player in all aspects for them to win. That and also like Naz Reid can't have 4 points off the bench. Like he can't fucking do that. He can't play 28 minutes and score 4 points.
Do you think that the small market issue aside, Ray did when he was talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, he did allude to the fact that they have a pretty decent home crowd. And I think a big thing for the T-Wolves is, I mean, we're kind of talking like they've already lost. Like, you know, they're being pretty competitive in this game right now. And honestly, they were competitive across 3 quarters in the last game, and then they just sort of took their foot off the gas when they knew they couldn't win, which is a quality this team has, which really annoys me, actually, when they're like, it's fine. We'll play the series, not the game. Like, they have that mentality for sure. And it's annoying because that can really bite you in the ass. See the Celtics against Miami and the Celtics against the Knicks. But I feel like because I gave the Thunder less credit than I think I should have, and their home fans being a pretty decent outfit, the thing that the Wolves do other than like play energy is they have a pretty decent bench as far as role players go, and role players don't play that well on the road when the road team's home court is hard to play at, right? And I think I saw that show up, especially alluding to what you're saying, Mike, with Naz Reid 4 points off the bench. I mean, he has a similar impact to, I think they have a little bit of a deeper squad compared to say the Nuggets, but he has a similar impact to like a Gordon on Denver, or like a Dort, or, you know, like these guys that they are a physical presence. They can shoot the ball really, really well, and you trust them to. That's the most important thing. A role player that you trust to shoot the ball. Now, like, to put it in a Celtics sort of context, we at one point, that Jay Crowder was that guy. And I think there was a split fan base on, you know, if Jay Crowder is good enough to be the role player that you trust to shoot the ball. There was at one point a guy named Grant Williams who was that guy, and I was pretty adamant that Grant Williams cannot be that fucking guy.
What about, you can't forget James Posey.
Can't forget James Posey, who everybody was unanimous that should be that guy, right? Yeah, and except for one guy in the whole entire world that didn't think it should be him, and that guy's name was Eddie House. So the spirit of that guy, I think the guy we have to do it now is Peyton Pritchard. You know, and he almost might be too good to really be a role player that you trust to shoot in big moments. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the fuck that team's going to look like next year. We'll come on to that. But I wonder if that's going to be an issue for the T-Wolves moving forward, because the Thunder also have guys like that. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's almost like a Holmgren. You know what I mean? Like you can put him in those situations, and like that's a pretty high level that you have 1 through 6 on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I guess my point is, it's looking like a worse matchup than I thought. I'm still gonna ride with the Timberwolves though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say T-Wolves in 7 because I believe Anthony Edwards is gonna show up to this series. Let me get a prediction from you, Mike, and then you, Ray, and then Bobby. You already said, right? You said OKC in 6. That hurts.
In 6, yeah.
OKC in 7.
Everyone. Ray?
I'm gonna go with OKC in 6 as well.
Could be tough.
And it's not because of not believing and like you said, it's just their team is not as deep as OKC. So
It's not.
when, like I said, unless some guys raise their level of play, and once again that can happen for a game or two, but can you do it for 4 games? And like you said, like Mike said, not as reason what he was phenomenal last year in the playoffs, amazing. At times, might have been their second or third best player on the team, right? Like it can't, so much so that they was benching Towns, for him, and which is why, like secretly, like I would like for it to be Knicks Timberwolves just because of how that went down the offseason. I just don't know if it's going to get to that, and we'll get to that later on. But yeah, a lot of guys got to raise the level. DiVincenzo was awesome in last year's playoffs too. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that just have to raise their level. If they can raise their level, if they can go 5 to 6 points above their average in the play, from the regular season to the playoffs, then they have a shot. But if not, OKC does what they've been doing all year. They flip the game, and they just go from there. So they can go on a 10-0 run in the game.
They force so many turnovers, and that's
exactly. Yeah. And once again, the NBA lets them be physical too. So when you let somebody be physical on defense in this era, you cause those unforced turnovers. So, yep.
29-25 at the end of the first quarter. I just want to point out one little thing, Mike. I think you'll like this. There's a little microcosm of a game going on right now, which I think is going to really prove to be statistically impactful over the course of this series, however long it goes. Anthony Edwards and SGA both have 8 points, but Ant's 8 points are coming from a 4 for 10 from the field and no trips to the line. And SGA's 8 points are coming from a 3 for 3 from the field and 1 trip to the line where he hit both free throws. And that's just 1 quarter, right? So it's a very small sample size to look at. But if the efficiency rating, Mike, of those 2 guys trends in that direction, I think you guys are right. I don't see how, if whenever Shai is going to score, he is. And when Ant is trying to take over the game and maybe at, like you say, Ray, like at times being able to do it. But if it becomes like he's shooting 40% overall, you know what I mean? And it's on a 4 for 10 where it's like, you shot 10 fucking times in the first quarter. You know what I mean? It's like, he's getting the looks.
He's had a few moments like that already this postseason where, he's had scoreless halves. He's had 5 or 18 performances, and once again, in another market, you get killed. I'm talking I don't even just Boston, I'm talking in general. Like in a bigger market, you get killed for that. But we love the aggression. Like I said, for me, I don't have an issue with him shooting 18, 20 times. Because
no, but I think there is such a thing as
I'd rather you go down with your best than to counter.
No, totally. Absolutely.
I'm fine with that. But
conceptually, I agree with you totally. I'm just talking in the sort of the Mike perspective of all things. Both guys have 8 points. Both guys have 8 points. There's such a thing as a good 8 points and a better 8 points, right? Like there just is. Like and that I just think overall efficiency. If you're looking at it, I think you're gonna go with the guy who hit all the shots.
Mike is okay with 15, 8, and 7 in the win. You don't care. Yeah, but you get 50. Mike, want to see can you dominate doing 50
I've watched
7 and play good defense?
Yeah, I've watched Harden score 50 and losses all the time, so like it's fine. But like but Timmy, he doesn't defend though, so there's a difference. But here's the thing: the stat that you didn't bring out that I think could be something that's positive for your boy DK is that Ant has half of the Minnesota Timberwolves rebounds. Half.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing a very physical game. All 8 of his points so far are very hard won. It's like he's been in the post, he's been going to the hoop, he's gotten 0 foul calls, even though he's been fouled a couple times, and this whistle is starting to fucking annoy me, quite frankly. Because if we're talking about like just like at least call it fair both ways, across all the superstars in the league. It's happening inside this series right now, like where SGA is going to the line and Ant's not. And it's like, come on, guys, just make it fair. Like, just make it fair. Just call it the same way both ways, please. I will also say, he looks small. He looks small in this series. Fucking OKC are fucking huge. Like, they really are.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's going to be an issue. And I think Julius Randle is going to be a big part of that. We talked about that. Okay, let's move on to the East. I really, really, really enjoyed that game last night. I'm so excited to talk about it. The fact that the Pacers and the Knicks are just basically the most fun franchises to have in a playoff matchup across the history of the NBA, apparently. They just always are going to give you a good time, a good show. The fact that I was sort of paying attention to it, kind of half watching it. I think this is probably the everybody's experience. Tell me if you had a different one, but I'm sort of half paying attention to it. At that point, I'm starting to sort of lose focus because it looks like the Knicks definitely have it in the bag, right? So I'm starting to go like, okay, like what do I think of this game overall? Like what do I think happened? What do I think is going to happen across the whole series, right? Sort of like we did for the Western Conference. While they're still playing this second game right now, but we're you kind of have to do the postmortem of the first one. And I was in postmortem mode like already, and Bobby was like, "Man, it was so frustrating." It's he texted in the group chat. He said it's so frustrating to watch this Knicks teams dominate because we dominated them for so many minutes across our series. Like a large percentage, I think, Bobby, was your point, of the Celtics Knicks series. We were up by like so many points. So then we started doing a fucking what the fuck with the Celtics as the Indiana Pacers started to come back. And I mean, there's all sorts of stats out there that you can go look up about how many times a team has come back when they were down with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. It's like 1,000 plus to it's never happened. Now it's happened once. So it was an incredibly fun comeback to watch. I was really, really scared that Haliburton, because he had only hit the 2, that was going to influence the momentum of overtime and they weren't going to win, and he was going to have done the choke. And then like, obviously you just do it right fucking back to him if they don't end up winning the game, but he does like that. I mean, he must have felt an insane sense of relief, but I'm not going to sit here and move the tenor of this conversation in the direction of like the Knicks are mentally weak, like the Knicks. I don't think that they are. I think that they'll recover from that probably pretty well. What I will say is, despite some defensive issues that I think that the Pacers definitely have and they need to deal with, they seem like they had a lot. They had a lot to give the Knicks like down the stretch, and like, I guess conventional wisdom will say, like, are you going to have a Nesmith game like that? Because that was the Nesmith game, right? Like, that's what that was. Are you going to have another one like that down the stretch? No, but I bet Haliburton could fucking go off. I bet some stuff could happen. I bet we could see some stuff actually come down where this Pacers team wins. Do they have some defensive issues? Yeah. But could they ride this momentum, Bob? Could they ride it? Because it was fucking crazy.
Yes, they can. They can score with anyone. I'm pretty sure the past 2 seasons they were top 5 in offense. Pascal Siakam. Yeah, I mean, if they get nights like they did from Siakam, Nesmith, Nembhard, and Turner again, I definitely think that they have a chance in this series. If those guys can stay up and stay going, they definitely have a chance. I completely agree with that Haliburton. I love how he did the choke and pointed right at Reggie Miller too. As
apparently
he was doing
him and
it.
Reggie are boys. Did you
get
that?
Yeah, they're deep.
He
deep.
He is a mentor to him. Like, he helps him out. They text daily. According to Tyrese Haliburton, they text daily. So, I mean, should we have
he
the
said
Tyrese
he planned
Haliburton
it. He knew he was going to do the choke celebration at some point. He said
he did say that, which I appreciated. And then he said something about aura farming, which I can kind of gather what that means from context. But I'm like, oh, I am getting old for sure. I think we should have the sort of general Tyrese Haliburton conversation. Like, I think we should talk about, because it's a similar conversation to the Jason Tatum conversation we're always trying to grapple with, right? Where it's like, why is he viewed a certain way in the NBA and broader NBA culture? I think my initial guess, now, Ray, correct me if I'm wrong, he's a little bit more Carlton than Will. I think we can agree, right? He has a little bit more Carlton than Will about him. However, I think he has a degree of showmanship, much like Carlton. I mean, have you seen the man dance? I think he has a degree of showmanship that can really be appreciated. I think doing the Reggie Miller choke, the kind of game that he plays, how he reacted to the being rated most overrated, how he is in interviews. I mean, speak on it, because like I really like the guy. That's sort of where I'm landing. I'm really coming around to Tyrese Haliburton in this postseason.
So, I don't know if I don't think we started the show when this happened, but some that know me off the air know how high I was on Haliburton before the draft in 2020. I said if he was there, go get him. The kid can play, and I feel real validated at this moment. Once again, they have to get on and do it, but he's bounced back in a major way because people, when he got injured, folks were kind of, they were piling on. I'm just like, nah, like when he's healthy, the dude can hoop, and we're seeing that. And it's very ironic that the two most disrespected players, one's out now with Tatum, but that was disrespected in the Olympics, and now he's now in the Final Four and has a chance to go on to the NBA Finals. So I love that, for him. But yeah, I don't know why he's viewed as that. I mean, once again, he's been consistent. He was over there in Sacramento. He got dealt over there in the Sabonis trade, and he's been hooping. And yeah, I love the run that he's on right now because the fact that your peers are saying it is one thing for the fans to do the vote.
I know that's a slap in the face. They honestly shouldn't have asked that question.
The players are saying that shit overrated. Okay, cool. So, but once again, you can click on the screen. You can click on a Google form. You can do all that. You got to see me on these 94 feet, buddy. You got to see me. And now every time I see every one of y'all, I'm gonna give you that work. Period. And I love what he's doing, and I hope he continues to do it. And that team is flying high right now. Once again, they took their lumps last year against us, and once again, that was the hardest series we had, even though it ended in the sweep. That was by far the hardest series we had last year. Nemhard is a problem. Benedict Mathurin is a problem. Like, they got guys that can hoop, so just don't be surprised if things keep going serious.
Tobin was a problem last game. I feel like, I think what I like about them, does anyone else get like a little bit of a Brad Stevens Celtics vibe off them from time to time?
Yeah.
Where they're like really moving the ball. They're like super unselfish. They move the ball really, really rapidly. Like they let the ball do the work, which I think is like a cliche, but a cliche for a reason, right? And I think they're a lot of fun to watch because of that. I mean, Bobby was high on them coming into the playoffs, and I think you had it for this reason because it's like there's something to really cheer for about them. To the point where I would love it if it was T-Wolves Pacers, personally. Like, that would be my dream matchup. But like, I want to see the Knicks fail now.
Can I validate that point for you? You just made? So who's their coach in Indiana?
Carlisle.
Carlisle, right? So he played on the '86 Celtics.
Yeah.
That was the best passing team of all time.
Yep.
So it's not an accident. It's not a coincidence that his team plays like that because he's seen it in real time. He was like, I played with the Hickman French Lick. I played with Robert Parrish. I played with McHale. I played with Danny Ainge. So it's not a coincidence that he's coming out there and his DNA is in that team. It was like in Dallas as well. This is what he does.
I also think the Pacers as a franchise have an identity. You know what I mean? I think that they have they're a certain. Like, I think that the issue I was just talking about this with my mother-in-law, actually. She was over for dinner and the basketball was on and she was just listening to me talk about how egregious it was that the Oklahoma City Thunder, I mean, she had no idea what I was talking about. She was just sitting there politely, but I was just ranting.
Basketball was on.
Yeah, while basketball was on, I was just ranting on and on about how it's criminal that the Oklahoma City Thunder exist because the Seattle Supersonics were a real franchise in the NBA, like when you're watching the coolest of old school footage of like, mid 90s basketball, you're watching Gary Payton, you're watching Sean Kemp, you're watching these guys that had a certain identity. Like, I thought Kevin Durant was gonna be a part of that legacy. And I'm kind of looking at this OKC team and it's like when they put highlight packages together for them, they play Supersonics highlights. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, what's it like? You don't get that. Like, that's fucked up. Like, that belongs to the city of Seattle more than like, I don't know, like the letterhead that you brought like down to Oklahoma fucking City. So when I look at teams like the Pacers, and I guess to a certain extent the Knicks, although there's obvious like sort of rivalries built in like that for us, it just makes me happy to see teams like that in and around the NBA conversation because like I don't want to see the Oklahoma City Thunder do well. You know what I mean? Like there's no core memory of them for me. I guess like Russ and KD, but it was like, when they left, were you all that broken up about like for the Thunder when that happened? Like, I don't think so. So
I mean, I wanted them to win in 2012 though.
sure,
Absolutely.
but that was because of what we were talking about earlier, because of what they were up against. But I think that when you're looking at these sort of teams, I'm just sort of like, I think I'd be bummed, I guess, if the Oklahoma City Thunder won the NBA championship this year. It feels like the path of least resistance, and I'm just trying to find a way to really appreciate the identity.
That was the Boston Celtics last year. You can't say that, Dave. You know,
Yeah, but I like them.
that's cool, bro.
Minus 220. Oklahoma City is their
That's
favorite.
pretty
Minus
likely.
220.
That's a pretty likely set of odds. Like the experts seem to think that it's done at that point. So I mean, I'm just trying to find a way. Overall, though, I'd love to hear what everybody thinks about this matchup between the Knicks and the Pacers from a Knicks perspective, because I know we have to go away from our hurt feelings from the last series, but we might use this as a jumping off point to talk about the Celtics from a Knicks perspective. Mike, how do you feel they're going to get back up and dust themselves off, and how much of a chance do you think they have to actually do that based on the fact that they're probably the team you've watched the closest that's left in this, right? Because they just played your team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I don't know how many more games you're going to get where Cat and Brunson give you almost 80 points just out of the two of them.
Sure,
and they lost that game.
But Cat was also like late to a shitload of assignments down the stretch. Looked really fucking leggy and tired, and still does really stupid foul. Gets in really stupid foul trouble. So
listen, I had enough of him in our brief series with them.
Not a fan.
I'm not a fan either. I think. Listen, I can't hate, and I'll never hate on Jalen Brunson ever. Like, that guy will keep the Knicks in every game. But I do
that's
think
okay. I'll take care of it.
It's going to be a series. It's going to be a series like this that's going to show you like why Tibbs, why his way of coaching and running that team into the fucking ground in the regular season is going to bite him in the ass. Because Indy can play. I mean, they can outscore the Knicks, and their defense, it's not great, but it's also not fucking terrible. It's not what we were playing against them in Game 6.
It's the worst defense in the playoffs, though. I'll say that.
Sure, but I honestly don't think that the Knicks are going to pick themselves back up and dust themselves off.
Oh wow, you're going Pacers, huh?
As a fan of a team, that just blew multiple 14-point leads in a series, it's pretty hard to overcome that.
Brunson had 43 points and was a -8 somehow. I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's because he's on the floor for the entire game.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't judge the plus minus of the Knicks.
No, right, but
never
that
fucking sit down.
That can't happen, bro. Like, that cannot happen. That it's one thing to be a 14 with 9 minutes, whatever, like we were a couple of times and whatever, because even that's still a lot of time. You're a 14 with 2.5 minutes, bro, and you not only did you let them tie the game, but you lose the game.
But that is what happened, though.
Like,
they fully decided the game was over. Like the Knicks.
But that's wild though. Like,
we've seen that.
Listen, shout out
Oh
to
shit, huh?
He had 20 in the fourth, y'all. 20. Aaron Smith had 20 points in the fourth.
Smith was unbelievable.
Unreal.
He had 18 points. He had 18 points in the final 4 minutes.
Crazy.
It was worse, right? It was worse that it was Nesmith, because you were just like watching a guy that played for us, like he was like playing the game of his life in the Eastern Conference Finals.
We would do that trade 10 out of 10, because at the time Brogdon was much better, and once again, that trade got us.
Brogdon turned into a lot. Yeah,
I'm okay with that. So Nesmith still paid dividends. So thank you. But yeah. But
I like him back now though.
It was hard. It was hard to see him give a 30 piece. Because I was like, well, damn. I said that 30 piece would have been nice to have in Game 6 if that was the case.
I would have taken shave 10 off that. If anyone could have gotten fucking 20.
20, right?
Like, that would have been fucking great.
But that's the thing though. Like, and remember, that's what he was supposed to be coming out of Vanderbilt, right? We picked him at 14, and he had shot like 52% at Vanderbilt. So he was coming in.
What a program. What a time Vanderbilt's having right now, huh? Like, there's fucking Vandy kids everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So actually, Luke Cornett's a Vanderbilt Commodore too. So he went to this, but so it's just like that to me.
Cornett's a free agent, is what he is. Which
actually, they might have been teammates. Actually,
he's about to get paid.
Teammates. Cornette and it might have been teammates. I don't know, but I think looks a little bit older. But anyways,
He just looks funny.
It's wild. Like I said, it was cool to see. But like I said, you hit and with 2.5 minutes, you up 14 like that. That's and once again, it's funny how that always happens in game ones against Indiana and New York, huh? I was like crazy ass comebacks. That's wild though. It's crazy.
All right, everybody, give me their winner and how many games. Bob, starting with you.
Damn, I don't know. I'm gonna go Pacers in 7. I think it's gonna be a great series. I think we're gonna see a couple more overtime games, a couple more comebacks. It's gonna be one of those crazy ass series.
I'll take it. Mike?
Pacers in 7.
2 Pacers in 7. Wow, I love this. Ray?
Yeah, Knicks at 7.
Did you say Knicks, Mike, or did you say Pacers?
No, he said Pacers. No, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, you got so. Think about what Bobby said a few moments ago, right? He mentioned 4 or 5 guys that have to play right. Like when New York, it's been a switch off, right? One day it's OG, next day it's Hart, it's Mikal Bridges. Like Brunson's been the constant, right? Towns, despite of what people may feel about him, has for the most part has been a constant. So I just think that they raise the level a little bit more when they need to, especially during this run. And I still think Brunson's the best player in the series when everything is even. So yeah, I think Indiana's going to push them further because New York's going to have a game that they trick off like they did last night. But to me, I just feel like it's their time to make it to the finals. I just do. when they remember last year, Dave, when I was on there, and I remember when Dallas beat OKC, I said this team is going to the finals, and he was like, I don't know. I don't know. I get that same feeling. I think if they're, I don't think
they'll be exactly the fucking same if they do, because they're showing to get their ass whooped by the team.
No, sure. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. I'm just saying. I just think it's their time to get to the finals. So
I think that's fair enough. I was just thinking about it. If I think about it from a series perspective, I feel like I want to say that if I'm going to take the Pacers, I would take them in 6 because they've taken home court now, and like that, if they win that game at home court, then they've done what they needed to do, right? So just by statistics in my head, if I am going to take the Pacers, I got to take them in 6. But then I think to myself, that means they got to win 3 games in a row. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to win 3 games in a row, home or away, against this Knicks team. So I'm going to go with these guys. I'm going to go Pacers in 7, just to give myself a little room. And we'll do a 3-1 on that. Guys, me and Ray jumped on immediately after the Celtics lost and Jason Tatum's ankle exploded. It was probably the most depressing show we've ever done. We did it for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was up there.
It was like someone had just died. And Ray and I talked for a little bit about where we go from here. I'm really interested to see how everybody's thoughts have kind of crystallized about it. I've definitely been doing a lot of thinking about it over the last few days. Where does this team go from here? Because honestly, I mean, I'm willing to be talked out of this, but I haven't really moved on too much from where me and Ray sort of landed, which is like, I think this iteration of this team is over. I just think where we are with the salary cap, I think where, the roster's so fucking expensive. The official word on Tatum's injury basically always meaning that you're not going to see him for a full season. If that's the case, why would you pay like a Jason Tatum-less team $1 billion? New ownership, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if anyone's unavailable for a phone call in this offseason. And I think that's okay, just based on all the factors, like just based on every single factor that we have available to us. I totally agree that Jaylen Brown was playing on one leg, and like we shouldn't be making emotional decisions and like judging, his career on like him not being able to like come back from 3-1 down with another guy, the best guy on the team injured. I don't think that should be the context we judge Jaylen Brown in, but I think you got to feel the phone call for everybody at this point, because I think this iteration of the team is over. And I think I've been thinking about it. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's been 2 guys that came back from this injury that were like close to the level that they were at before. And even then, like Durant didn't really play defense anymore after he came back. You know what I mean? It's like there's going to be a change in his game. And I think that, does somebody else want to take that risk on? Am I being crazy? Am I being way too doom and gloom?
Good job. What's up, Katie?
What's that?
the other guy besides KD?
Kobe Bryant.
Who was it?
No,
He was never the same.
That's not the guy I think about. Not Kobe.
Who do you think about?
Further back, Dominique Wilkins had the same injury too, and he came back and averaged 30 with the Clippers.
But could he go? Was he the same sort of two-way player? I mean, I think the thing that we have
for Indian night though, like
sure, but I mean, the thing that has always set Jason Tatum apart, in my opinion, is like the well-roundedness of his game. You know what I mean? My point isn't like it's. I'm really not here to disparage like his future. I'm just wondering if we're being realistic, is he going to be the same player in a year? You know, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Look, go ahead, Mike.
I think it'll take some time for him, but I think that the amount of talent that he has, I mean, he there might be a small drop off on the defensive side, which I'm okay with. Listen, I mean that's fine because you can supplement, good defenders around him, and I think that for me though, in my opinion, there are three untouchables. It should be obviously Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White. Derek White's young enough that he can play with the score and he can grow with them, and we've seen him. For better or for worse, he shows up in playoff games. He can't guard Jalen Brunson. I never need to see that again. But
yeah, he got fucking cooked by Brunson, dude.
Yeah, I think those are the three players. And I mean,
so you're saying keep it together, just keep building around these same three guys. That's where you're landing.
Yeah, because they've won a championship. Those three have won a championship. We won a championship in spite of the fact that the guy that I wanted to be on this team, Porzingis, got here. Played a great regular season, and then 2 straight years could not be helping in the playoffs. So you got to get him out. I'm already pissed off that he's probably going to go to the Lakers. That already irritates me. But get him out, get Drew out, and then
disappointing.
Figure the rest out.
I think Drew's definitely the casualty. Drew's definitely the casualty out of all this. He's the highest paid. He's the oldest.
He's no longer justifying that contract. I will give
He's not
you that.
the highest paid.
I would love to restructure with him and like keep him, but
he's just the easiest to move at this point. You might have to throw in an asset to go along with the salary, but
we could take on a couple salaries. I mean, we could go that direction. We could take on a couple salaries this year and just like carry him around for a little bit, and then like in exchange for some picks or something.
I'm not feeling it. I understand the KP, even though I we made a clip about it. I feel like people were a little too hard on, but I get it. You want him to be available at the best moment. Once again, what he did in game one, I'll never forget. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So he's JD Drew. That's great. But like again, that's not what you got him for.
No, right. But I mean, and that's true. But I do think there's a part of me that I'm just like, it'd be cool to see him and Brown as a 1-2 punch for next year. In my mind, that's how I see it. But we're not going to, unfortunately. But I'm more okay with moving off him than Drew Holiday. I don't know. I just felt like the tide really changed when that trade happened. Yeah, Porzingis, it was cool getting Porzingis. We was all right, cool. We'll see what happens. And we didn't think that was going to happen. But when they was able to find a way to get Drew Holiday, it was like, huh? And
Drew doesn't really look like the same player anymore, Ray. I got to be honest with you. I mean, nobody likes him more than I do, but
once again, but also too, I also think everybody on that roster was more hampered than we know, and maybe losing this early helps them to get healthier for the next season. Who knows, right? I mean, despite the Tatum injury, you know what I'm saying? So maybe they come back at a different thing. I just think they were dealing with stuff all year that never really got able to just get right, and they still won 60 games. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, yes, you want them to, you didn't want them to live to the finish line, but that's kind of what happened, and their bodies failed them. So yeah,
but
financially,
in perspective, right? They played 5 more games than the Minnesota Timberwolves did last year, and in this regular season, and Minnesota's still they're still in it. Like so, like it just can't be about wear and tear.
But that's not. But it is though. You got to think about it from the point that Tatum and even Brown got drafted. They have not missed the playoffs since they got drafted. Right. That's a real thing. That's a fact. So when you're in deep runs, they've made 7 conference finals, I think, or 6 conference finals. Like when you're that deep into the playoffs every year, you've made 2 finals. At some point, it catches you. Because we saw with Golden State too. You go to 5 in a row, like your body, at some point it breaks down. That's what we saw happen here. And once again, I hate that it happened that way, but if it leads to getting everything cleaned up and they don't have to deal with like just minor knick-knack injuries going forward, then I'm okay with that. And as far as the Tatum thing goes, in my opinion, to me, the reason why I think Tatum will come back and still be, very elite, in my opinion, his game to me is not, just like KD, it's not predicated on athleticism. Yes, he can get to he might punch it in on you, but that's not
KD's game when he had that athleticism was so fucking fun to watch.
Oh, right. But I'm like, Tatum is a footwork guy, like KD was. He's a footwork guy. So I think we're going to see him be a lot better below the rim. And the efficiency that Mike has called for, and some others have called for him, I think that's going to be the best part of his game when he comes back, because he's going to have to think the game differently now that he had the injury. And I think that's going to unlock something totally different that we never seen from him. So that's the mindset I choose to have with that, because once again, it sucks that it happened, but it almost can be a blessing in disguise that he now gets to think the game through a different way and maybe be even better than he was before.
I feel like
it's the best positive outlook I could have hoped for from that Tatum injury. I love it.
It's pretty positive. I feel like maybe every team feels this way, but I feel like we've had the worst fucking luck, like with major sort of franchise
by far.
altering injuries, dude. Like, I feel like if you go from,
we had 2 of our stars die in the early to mid 90s. So,
I mean, yeah. If you go back to Larry Bird's back, and you go from there, if you go from Larry Bird's back in a non-basketball related injury through fucking Len Bias dying just randomly because he did 1 line of coke, let me tell you, if 1 line of coke fucking killed you, I'd be dead 10,000 times over. So it's like, that's just bad luck. So at the end of the day, I mean, you take that all the way through to just the horrible luck of Gordon Hayward's fucking legs snapping in 9 places in the very first game of like our new era at like post big trade.
KG in 09.
KG in 09, where with that ruins what I'm 100% convinced is a 3-peat in an alternate timeline.
Pierce getting stabbed.
Paul Pierce gets stabbed by fucking Ben.
It's unbelievable. I would think Dave Cowens had a back injury back in the day too. Like it's always, it's always something. It's always.
I mean,
it's crazy.
On. I mean, it's like the list goes on and on, all the way to Tatum's rolling his ankle in a final series and then his ankle fucking exploding in a game against the fucking New York Knicks.
Two things need to happen for me at this point in time. Tatum needs to start making some high top shoes and wear those so that he can support his Achilles moving forward. And we need to talk for real about the Celtics team. They just weren't. They were soft. They were losing their series against the Knicks, and
very soft.
What is the thing? What is the thing that I was just saying this in the chat? I need to figure out who the culprit is.
It's the most annoying thing to have wrong with a team that you could ever imagine. Not being able to hold 20 points.
It's been the same thing for 7 fucking years, though.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating.
Do you think that they ever got bored with anything? Because that was brought up.
There was absolutely a factor there. They didn't.
LeBron said that.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm like, to me, I think that's a real thing. And once again, but in a sense,
I don't respect that though. That's not like a valid.
I don't either because it's not. But I think about like LeBron's Cleveland teams, even some of those Golden State teams. Like there was series they let go longer because the focus just wasn't there sometimes. It's just like, yo, you could end this in 4 or 5, but this is going 7 because you're...
Who's responsible for getting everybody focused in your mind?
Well, I mean, it should be the leader of the team on the court, but it goes back to coaching.
Yeah, sure fucking does.
Coaching, but I mean, as you saw in the press conference, like he's not going anywhere, so...
You know what, though? Honestly...
But this is his contract year, though, and it's very odd for an NBA coach to come into the final year of their contract without an extension. So if he doesn't get signed before the season starts, I would say that there's trouble in paradise here.
I'm here for not giving the extension, right? Because I mean, granted, that's what Brad has done. Brad has been Mr. Extension since that's what he does. He did it with Al, with Tatum, with Brown, like with White. Call it, everyone gets the extension. So I get that. Hauser, Pritchard, whatever. So that's what he does. But I would love for him to to not offer that right away and just say, okay, well, let's see what you can do. Let's see.
If the let's see what you can do isn't a lot less sort of hyperbolic statements in the press about toughness and grit and not actual fucking toughness and grit, like, I just don't. There's a lot of bluster from Joe Mazzulla this year, and quite frankly, if you're thinking about what you're going to say in the press conference, like, I would think that they should fight. Fighting's cool, and like, I want to see blood. Blah blah blah. It's like, cool, man, but can you drop a side out play, please? I would love that. Thank you so much. Can you have one that works ever?
Well, it's like you see the Pacers last night. They run a play where all four of them start on one side, and they almost do like a football type play.
Yeah, four verticals. Yeah, four verticals.
Yeah, and it's like, bro, why can't we do something like that? I don't understand.
I just
our coach sucks.
I think it goes back to, you know, what happened even when his first year here, when, you know, they go 57-25, but it's understated that once again some guys he brought in immediately left after they won the championship. So Charles Lee, I think some other guys that ended up leaving after that. So it's just like, obviously Cassell's been great for the locker room. Like we know that, but I do think, you know, whether, I don't know if they reach out to Mike Malone, if they reach out to some other coaches that, you know, take the 1 year or 2 years before they come back into the teaching. I'm talking about myself. Before they come back, well, it is teaching to an extent, but you come back into the head coach role. So yeah, he's got to be reflective and look at himself in the mirror once again. Yeah, it's great that you have won 118 games and you were now NBA champion. We could take that away from you.
Yeah, because you had a fucking machine gun the entire fucking time. I mean, at the end of the day, I understand your point about your durability, but look at the roster he's had.
There's been so yeah, yes and no, because, and this feeds into what Mike has said for years about a certain coach out in Milwaukee. You have the roster, doesn't mean you're going to win.
If you suck, it doesn't mean you're going to win. If you suck at coaching, it doesn't mean you're going to win. If you give a good coach that roster, we're like in the Eastern Conference Finals right now. I'm 100% convinced.
Yeah.
I really think it was his fault. I just from watching the games, like I just thought it was all the same bullshit, but like in a different way. It was all the same, like, why did we call a timeout there? Why didn't we call a timeout there? It was always like, I'm playing 3D chess type moves when it's not really 3D chess. Just do the smart thing. It's a lot of like the same side out play is the guy the ball's going to is running in the opposite direction of the fucking passer. And the play is just throw it up in the air. Like there was just a lot of it's just a lot of Joe Mazzulla, and I just don't think he's good. I just don't.
I think ironically, and as much as I've been on his case on the show, ironically, Brad Stevens probably would have been better for this team this year.
But I mean, did you have a good time watching them just jack up fucking hopeful?
No, I was saying no. That's what I'm saying. But there's to me, the sweet spot to me is about 40 to 45 threes. That's to me.
But the worst thing to ever happen to the Celtics this series was the fact that they shot so terribly and missed wide open shots, because that just told Mazzulla with the guys got good looks.
Yeah, you
so let's
call
just
that
keep
out.
Fucking doing that.
Well, some, and not all shots are not created equal, obviously, but some shots were good looks, right? Once again, you're wide open. Of course, it's a good look. But if you feel that you're not going to get the foul called, or you're being told, right, you're being told in pregame, it's like, hey, you know, we're still jacking them up. But then, you know, we saw in the games that they won, you know, it was, you know, they blew them out because they hit, you know.
I know, but Ray, there was times where like it might have seemed like a good look because a guy was chasing you down, but if you look past him, there's nobody between you and the basket because he's running full speed at you. You can blow by him. You're fucking Jason Tatum. Like, I know this is the conversation we always seem to have, but they weren't leaving anybody underneath the basket because they knew we were just going to shoot from the perimeter every single fucking time. And they didn't have a choice. They had to live with that because that was what we're going to do, whether it worked or not, because we had just no variation in strategy. And then to Mike's point, they go in between games and Mazzulla's like, well, the looks were good. They're going to start falling. They're going to start falling.
You won 25 of 100 in your last two games. I mean, what kind of retrospective thinking you're doing? Well, honestly, there's like 10 or 12 shots that I'd like to take back. That's it.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, and listen, the only shot I hope that they keep as a part of their shot profile, because I think it's a good shot generally, is like usually like I didn't either call like the pull up or like the trail three. I think that's a shot they should keep. But it's just like when you're swinging it, and it's like you see everybody scramble. The only one that really does it consistently, well, the two of them, I'll say is D White and Jaylen Brown. But they on the catch, they just go, right? And usually somebody's going to be open, whether it's on the cut to the basket. And honestly,
they don't do.
That's where Porzingis, I think, was the most effective even last year when healthy. Like, unfortunately, that was just non-existent. Because once again, if you got anything from him in that series, we're probably talking about, game 2 now here in Boston. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's where there's so many things that have to go right. And once again, it sucks. It really does.
I agree with you, and I really do
yeah.
think that your durability point is a good point. I really think that is a thing that happened to them, and I agree with you. But I also have to tell you, now that Jason Tatum's ankle has exploded, and now that we are going to basically have a year off from having a good basketball team, I don't want to see him play that brand of basketball anymore. Like it's not fun to watch. It's just not fucking fun to watch. It's so unfun to watch, Ray. And I know this might be diabolical for your ears to hear, but it's so unfun to watch that it took away some of the enjoyment of winning a fucking championship for me. That's how much I hate how they play basketball, to be honest. And it came to such a head in that Knicks series where the worst ever version of that style of basketball came through because the shots just wouldn't go in. And I hadn't seen a team play like that since the Stan Van Gundy Magic, who had no place being in the finals that year. But yet the thing we just got done talking about, Kevin Garnett's knee, right? So, but they played a bad brand of basketball, brand of basketball.
Even in that series, coaching cost them too, because people know, some people know him as Skip to Malou, some people know his real name, Rayshawn Buchanan.
You only am one player to ever make a
Rayshawn Buchanan.
Rayshawn Buchanan was nice. He was good.
Yeah, Rayshawn was killing in that playoff series. I mean, well, the whole playoff run was killing, and Stan Van Gundy being loyal. His guy Jameer Nelson comes back because he was coming back from injury, and it changed the complexion of that series. Because LA went up 2-0, and Orlando smacked them in game 3. I mean, went ballistic on him. And it was like, okay, this is the Orlando Magic that we was waiting for. Dwight Howard was was at the height of his powers. And then you put in Jameer Nelson in game 4, and then some little ball guy named Derek Fisher hits a few threes on him in the end of the series. So it's just like, the wrong coach or the wrong philosophy could definitely hinder your progress. But that's what I'm saying. Mike brought it up.
That's the understatement of the fucking century.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it's like you said. Now that you said he's in the final year, there is a security at this moment, right?
Well, I think it's perfect because we can let him run out his contract.
But I do think, and once again, the style is obviously, regardless of who's on the roster, it's going to have to change because of just how the roster is going to look, come October. So I look forward to seeing what will be different. Once again, Brad has not made a bad move since becoming GM. He just hasn't.
He's stuck with Joe Mazzulla.
Okay. He win a championship, though. So, like,
I think we won a championship despite him. Much how you feel about Doc Rivers.
I
think you're allowed to feel that in the logic of your world, right, Mike? You're allowed to feel like the coach. Sure. The coach was there.
If everyone in the world starts calling Joe Mazzulla a Hall of Fame head coach, then yes, you can feel the way that I feel about him and Doc Rivers. That's the comparable. However, Brad Stevens' bad move is coming because he's going to sign to an extension in August. I bet. Like I would bet anything that he's not going to let Mazzulla go into this season without a contract. But hold on, one more quick thing. Don't judge them learning from their mistakes based on how they played next season without Tatum. Judge it if Mazzulla's still a coach when Tatum comes back the following year. If they just start jacking up threes again, they can just say, "Oh, we had to make the changes because we were without our star, but this is who we are." Like next year, we're not going to learn anything from them next year unless they win a championship.
Well, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign.
I know.
For the fucking franchise, if you're right, because to me, what we had was so many good players on a roster that any coach worth his salt would have been trying out so many different variations of cool basketball across the course of the last 2 years where we would have had 3, 4, 5, 6 levels to go to at any point because things that I got sick of fucking saying it after a while. I got to the point of being like, hey, you know what would be really cool? Like, could we see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in like a pick and roll consistently? Oh, Kristaps Porzingis is here. Like, let's see him and Tatum run like the coolest, longest 2-man game that you'll like ever see. Let's like get them into some sets. Let's really experience some set and design plays that get them into rhythm. And that just never happened. It never ever happened. Oh, let's see what Drew Holiday and Derek White can do when we make them the primary ball handlers in the full court, right? Like let's see, as opposed to just like, okay, you're next up, your turn. Let's try to get Al Horford working in the post a little bit. Remember when that always worked every single time he ever did it? Let's see Al Horford in the post playmaking. Yeah, he's not going to like be as big of a body as he was when he was an Atlanta Hawk. He's not going to be like a scoring threat from down there. But you know what he can do? He can be crafty. He can shimmy around, and he can have 9, 10-foot tall fucking skilled players running around him where he can play make easily. You can make it look like fucking Jokic out there if you ran those sets. But unfortunately, we had Joe fucking Mazzulla talking about how fights are good or whatever and not designing basketball plays. I can't with this guy. I really can't. And I know I wasn't allowed to say anything about him when we were doing good and winning championships, but quite frankly, this is where I've landed with the fucking guy because I just watched one of the worst brands of basketball played by one of the best rosters I've ever seen. It's very frustrating. It's the best roster we ever had, and I feel like he pissed it up a wall.
That's a good way to cap it. I have nothing to add to that, so that's I totally understand. So,
anyway.
Either way,
I'm just mad that they lost. Mad that they lost. I think it's weird that the Airbnb symbol looks like a vagina. All right, guys. Thank you so much for this show. I feel a lot better. I think Ray's positive outlook has made me feel better, although I still hate Joe Mazzulla. I'm really enjoying this basketball.
Which is a turn because 2 weeks ago, when I said that you hated him, you said, no, I don't hate him. And here we are.
Here's the thing. I have to explain this. When you're on your way to war, it doesn't help to say this general's incompetent. It just doesn't help, right? Because we're all marching the same direction anyway. Okay. So if I turn around and I say the general's incompetent, how does that help? How does it help morale? How does it help team building? What if I know that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are avid listeners of this podcast, Mike. So I don't want to get in their head about how shitty their coach is, right? When they're marching 1 by 1, 2 by 2, all the way to a war. I'm a foxhole guy. So when I'm in the foxhole with you, I'm with you. I'm with you the whole way. But when you fucking threw your own grenade into the foxhole, I'm probably going to talk about that after the war's over and I'm coming home with one leg. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. So I don't like to question my leaders on the way to war, but on the way home, God damn it, if we got our asses kicked, which we did, you're going to hear about it. So that's honestly how I feel. That's my explanation there. I hope it worked.
It did.
For myself, for the real BK Bob Kelly, for Money Mike Marcangelo, and of course for the Hollywood Ray Buchanan, I am DK Sizzle, and you have just witnessed Missing the Point.